نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We express our praise and gratitude to Allah Ta'ala, and we seek blessings upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay, so the goal is to speak about one of the opposites of the person of taqwa. We said the ultimate opposite of the muttaqi is the fasiq. That's the ultimate opposite, using the Quranic language, because the muttaqi, it says, has success. The fasiq, a little bit later on, we were taught, has failure. The muttaqi has guidance. The fasiq has misguidance. But there are two other opposites that are sort of lesser opposites. One is the kafir, and the other is the munafiq. So thinking about how it's laid out, first the surah gives us alif lam mim. No one knows what this means except for Allah Ta'ala. Then we have a categorical statement about the book. This book is a source of guidance. And now we have three types of people: the muttaqi, the person of taqwa, the kafir, and the munafiq. So we've just spoken about the muttaqi and now the kafir. First issue: إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. Okay, so إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Look at what your translations have. How are your translations translating just the beginning of ayah 6? What do you have?
As for those who reject.
That's probably the best translation. What else do you have?
As for those who disbelieve.
Disbelieve. Okay. Anyone have anything different? Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
So kafara.
Okay. We're gonna stop. Okay. Sure.
Is that yours?
Yeah, that's me.
The worst that happens when you're at the masjid, and then it happens, and then everyone starts looking at you. Okay. So kafara, just like we said, falah. The history of the term comes from agriculture. So does kafara. That comes from agriculture. The idea being that the farmer plants a seed and then covers it up. That's kufr. Good. That's kafara. Good. So the key point I want you to take is that from a Quranic paradigm, a kafir is not the same as a non-Muslim. Okay? From a fiqh perspective, you can make the argument that there's Muslims and there's kafirs. From a Quranic perspective, a kafir is someone who feels compelled to turn to Allah. No one's making them do it. They feel compelled to turn to Allah, and they suppress it. They bury it. Okay? Maybe someone is doing da'wah to them, or maybe they're just reflecting that, okay, there's Allah, and they feel compelled to turn to Allah, and they say no. So kufr primarily in the Quran is a condition of the heart. Okay? Kufr in fiqh is a condition of identity. Okay? Meaning what's on the outside, because fiqh doesn't concern itself with the heart. So in the Quran, a kafir, a non-Muslim is not automatically a kafir. A non-Muslim might be a jahil, right? Meaning someone who is ignorant, and then although young people smile because we've been called jahil. Okay, right? So kafir is someone who is consciously making a choice. This is why I'm saying that reject faith is probably the most accurate translation. They're consciously doing it. And if we even take the text further, this is past tense. Kafaru, inna ladhina kafaru is people who have rejected. And then the rest of the ayah says, it's all the same to them if you warn them or you do not warn them, they will not believe. Yes, ma'am?
Does this have to be like the basic kalima that we're rejecting, or does it have to be like the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or like the basics of Islam? Like
Okay, this is a good question. The answer is both yes and no to all of them, right? So think of it as levels. First level is La ilaha illallah, right? And level 1B is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Good. But even, for example, my fard actions. Okay, it's one thing for me not to pray. It's something far worse if I don't think it's fard, right? So I have to pray fard, right? I have to pray my fard prayers, but before that I have to regard them as fard. Okay. So imagine you have someone who doesn't pray, but they regard it as fard. I know I have to pray, but I just don't have willpower. So imagine that case. Imagine the case of a second person who prays, but say, I don't really have to. It's not an obligation. Which one's worse? The second one is worse. Yeah. Okay? Because the first step is you have to acknowledge it. So someone who doesn't pray, but they know they're supposed to pray, okay? Then you can say, they're committing a sin, inshallah, they seek forgiveness or they make up the prayer. But the second one, they're saying, I don't even have to pray. That's the equivalent of saying that the prophet is not the prophet. That's how serious that is. Yes.
I thought the example of the first one is clear definition of kafir. If you like,
So I'm saying the
You
second
know-
one's the kafir.
oh,
The first one is someone who just should be
I
praying.
thought it was, they know it, but they still don't do it.
So that could be someone with weak willpower, right? It's potentially someone who's a monafik, right? But the kafir is the person who says, no, this is not an obligation on me.
So then where's the feel compelled to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
I think like the.
Okay, so
There's a compelling part.
so this would be the person who, so I should include the point, they know that they're supposed to, but they're saying, no, I don't have to.
If they're saying that the prayer is not an obligation, then they don't know there's.
I'm talking about the person saying it's not an obligation. I mean, in a real world
Okay.
situation, you're probably not gonna find that type of person, right?
Wait, what type of person?
The person who, you're gonna find a lot of the first case, right? I know I'm supposed to pray, but I don't, okay? I just don't have the strength to, I know I'm supposed to, okay? The second type of person, you're probably not gonna find very much. Someone who actually prays and they say they don't have to.
Are you talking about regularly praise or just praise?
The key point being they're saying, I don't have to pray. So think of anything else. What are some other obligations? Okay.
I'll give you an example. I've come across, which is I find quite strange, people who are friends of Muslims and they fast along with them, but they don't fast as a form of worship. They just fast to be with their friends,
You
experience
see that
it.
for a lot in Ramadan. A lot of
I've
people.
seen that a lot, and it's strange.
Is
Yeah,
that weird though? Like,
No,
I've seen
people,
people
like,
do that
see
too.
benefits
I
in
don't know if
fasting,
that's
like,
like
all this.
exactly, cause they're not Muslim. I think that the point that is like Gopher is the fact that they like kind of know, and they've been taught this, but like in their mind they're like, okay, maybe I don't really want to follow this. Doesn't really make sense to me, or like they've actively covered up what the truth is. So that's what the kufr is. Like whether it be fasting, praying, it doesn't matter. Like at the basic level it's faith, but at like a fifth level it's like praying or whatever it is, whatever the action is. But the thing is like you know it to be true, whether in your heart you're compelled or you've been taught when you're little, whatever. You know it to be true, but you're kind of covering that truth up, whether it be with action or,
Being denying from yourself.
yeah, exactly.
In the context of this ayah, our primary issue is La ilaha illallah. But I feel compelled to turn to Allah, and I say no. Yes?
I was going to say that I actually have seen this, and I don't think it's a matter of a good person or a bad person. This is
Yeah,
that's
so you're
that's,
talking
that's the
about
big thing that I think,
Yeah.
because you know what it is, we're conditioned to say this is bad, but it's not a bad or a good or bad. It's just definitions. And so, I have a friend actually, and their view is like first it's like I don't know if I believe in God, and then it's like okay, I believe there's something out there, but I don't think God would make us would say okay, you either pray 5 times a day or you get punished.
Mhm.
So it's a rejection of that. There's a need to know there's a higher being, but then there's a rejection of everything that comes with it.
Mhm.
Maybe because their own feeling of feeling suffocated within the confines of a system. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know what it is, but that to me is, and this is coming from someone who prayed 5 times a day. Had
And
no
they used to
problems.
pray 5 times a day?
Absolutely.
Oh, subhanAllah.
Actually speaks fluent Arabic
Uh-huh.
as a Desi person.
Well,
Speaks fluent Arabic and has studied it, but has now rejected everything because of whatever reason.
Okay.
You know? So now it's like I'm Muslim, but then I don't pray, and I'll pray if I want to, but it's not a farther upon me, and I don't even. And
that's
then
the key part right there.
And then what I said is I was like, well, how do you? Because I was like, I think praying 5 times a day, like, wouldn't you agree that's part of being Muslim? So the response was that, well, how do you know we have to pray 5 times a day? Like, do you know the story of Miraj? And they're like, well, I know other stories, but how do you know that happened? And then it just becomes like a shaitani thing. Like, I just think it's like, it becomes shaitani because it's like, what are we arguing about? There's either a leap of faith or there isn't. Like, there's nothing to argue about. You either believe it or you don't, you know? So it's definitely out there. I feel like anything you can imagine is out there,
Yeah, sure. That's not. That's not.
you know?
You want to say something?
No.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is a small side point that I might distract the entire conversation with this, but in the Hanafi school, what's the difference between fard and wajib? You know, the other schools, fard and wajib is the same. Hanafi school, what's fard and wajib? Fard is unanimously agreed all across the schools that this is fard. Okay? Things that are wajib in the Hanafi school have the same level of obligation as fard. Meaning, just as I have to do maghrib, fard, witr, that's wajib, right? Eid in the Hanafi school, what is the status of Eid? Wajib. Okay? Meaning, I have to do it as much as I have to do Fard, Zohar, Asr, Isha, Maghrib, Isha, right? But the reason that you call it wajib and not fard is because other schools don't regard it as fard. So fard in the Hanafi school is fard across the board, which means what? Means I have to acknowledge that it's fard. Okay? If I don't say it's fard, if I say it's not fard, then that's equal to kufr. Okay?
So for like wither slaw and stuff?
So wither, suppose I say no, it's not fard. Okay, I'm not in trouble.
In,
Hanafi.
okay.
Because wither, what it effectively means is things that are wither in the Hanafi school have the same level of obligation as fard in the Hanafi school, but in other schools they're probably sunnah.
So in other schools, wither is like sunnah?
Wither, no, I'm saying wajib is things that are categorized as wajib.
Oh, but wither is not categorized as wajib in other schools.
I gotta remember, I don't remember exactly.
Okay,
But most likely it is.
okay,
But he's saying like the heaviness of it, right? Like,
Yeah, the heaviness is the same as fard,
okay.
but fard I even have to acknowledge that it's fard. Okay, it's a small side point, I hope I didn't confuse everybody. But. So inna lazina kafaru, and inna is triple emphasis. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Those who have rejected. Okay. Sawa'un alayhim. It's the same upon them, a'andartahum, if you warn them, am lam tunzirhum, or you do not warn them. Okay. La yu'minun, they will not believe, because they have rejected. Okay. Why at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, did the Quraysh reject? What are some reasons?
Power,
What does that mean?
prestige.
Like, they had the power of the Kaaba, so, I mean, he was saying, like, you can't have all of these idols here, people can't come and, like, give money and do crazy stuff. So it was a lot of, I mean, and that's what, like, the power of Mecca was based off of. So if that couldn't happen, then all of, like, the prestige and power and money coming into Mecca would be...
Yeah, and so the key point that I'm making is that a lot of the people that opposed the Prophet, peace be upon him, they didn't have an issue with Tawheed. Some people had idol worship, and they were stuck with it, meaning they couldn't let go. A lot of the idol worshippers, that was secondary to them. What was a bigger issue to them was the status quo was something that they had to keep, because it would keep them in power. So Abu Jahl, for example, what was the biggest opponent of the Prophet, peace upon him, in Mecca? What was his argument?
Forefathers?
Sorry? His argument was that, so Abu Jahl, so the Quraysh is a conglomeration of a number of families, Banu this, Banu Hashim, Banu Umayyah, so forth and so on. Abu Jahl's accusation was Banu Hashim was trying to take over the Quraysh. Okay. That the Prophet, peace be upon him, he had no issue with La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. He was saying that the Prophet is trying to take over for Banu Hashim. That's what his complaint
Abu
was.
Jahl was what we tried?
I forgot which one.
He was not from Banu Hashim.
He was not Banu Hashim, he was a different type. Yeah. And so, Abu Jahl, even at night, what did he do? He would sit outside the Prophet's house, peace be upon him, listening to the Quran. Because the Prophet, peace be upon him, one of his first instructions was what? Do tahajjud, right? And Abu Jahl used to sit outside at night listening to it. Okay? But he still refused. Okay? So even other examples, I mean, some of you who've taken these classes with me before, you've heard these examples many times. Even there's a poetry competition, and the Prophet enters Surat al-Kawthar, right, Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. It wins the competition. They hang it on the wall of the Kaaba, and underneath they write, could not have been written by man. Okay? And still they rejected him. Okay? So the point being that in some cases people rejected him because they were too attached to their idols. Okay? But in some cases they were too attached to their money, right, or their power. Okay? Or they just, they were suddenly skeptical of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So why would people be kafir at that time? Every kind of reason, not just idol worship. Okay? So some people did use the excuse that we're not going to give up the religion of our fathers. Okay? Which is also interesting because what was the actual religion of their fathers? Their father was Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? Ismail. They built the Kaaba. Okay? Did the Quraysh believe in Allah at that time?
Yeah.
What's the proof? Simple proof. What's the name of the Prophet's father?
Oh, Abdullah.
Abdullah.
Yeah.
So they believed in Allah Ta'ala as a supreme being, but then they started worshiping all these idols. So the point being that at that time, people are kafir for different reasons. In our time, whenever, and again, some of you have heard this from me, whenever I meet someone who is converted to atheism, They're raised as Muslim, converted to atheism, Jewish, Christian, converted to atheism. Every single case I've come across for the last more than 10 years, every single case, they start out giving me academic arguments. Okay, this can't be true if God is all-knowing, so forth and so on. But their real issue has always been something else. And usually, it's they're upset about something. Okay, and usually they're upset about their parents. Okay. First time I experienced this, and
Can
sorry.
I just say that in this case, that's exactly the case.
Yeah,
It's totally about the parents.
that's what I would assume. Yeah.
I just think that's, wow.
Yeah, it's usually, it's 100% of the time it's been some sort of resent or difficulty. First time I experienced this, backstories, I went to a conference in New Jersey, there was a whole bunch of big speakers, and this is before Noman became famous. Someone comes up to Noman and says, hey, can you, he wanted to argue free will predestination. Okay. Noman says, I don't want to talk about this, talk to him. So he refers it to me, because Noman was at the conference too, right? And so I'm listening to this guy talk for what might have been 6 hours. And on and on and on, and I'm responding to some of his points and just letting him talk. And then suddenly he starts crying. Okay, this is okay. The real issue is that my brother died in a car accident 6 months ago, and I can't cope. Right. So his method of coping was to, in his mind, punish Allah Ta'ala by saying Allah Ta'ala doesn't exist. Right. And every single case has been something like this. That someone says, I'm atheist now, and it's always been, I'm upset about something. Okay? And some people, when they get upset, they turn the other direction. They become hyper-militant, right? Other people become militant in terms of atheism. Yeah, but they're always upset about something, 100% of the time. Okay? And that's just my experience in terms of today. I'm not talking about people who are raised atheists. These are people who have converted into atheism, primarily from Islam. Okay. Next ayah, خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ. So Allah seals or put a seal upon their hearts, qulub, their hearts. وَعَلَىٰ سَمْعِهِمْ, and on their hearing. وَعَلَىٰ أَبْصَارِهِمْ غِشَاوَةٌ, and upon their eyes there's a veil. Okay. وَلَهُمْ, and for them, عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ, it is a huge punishment. Okay. First point, qulub, sam', absar. So qalb, your heart, your hearing, sama, and then basar, your sight.
Which ayah is this?
This is ayah 7. What's the relationship between your seeing and your hearing and your heart? What's the relationship?
What you see and hear affects your heart.
That's basically it, right? If you think even about the most successful movies are successful in tracking your eyes and in dazzling your ears too, and reaching your heart. So if you look at all like the top movies ever made in terms of money making, you'll see they're successful in all three. Yeah. And so what are we saying here? Your eyes and your ears are the tools to transmit to a person's heart. Yeah. Here's a question. Does shaitan know what's in your heart? Allah Ta'ala obviously knows what's in your heart. Nobody else knows what's in your heart. Does shaitan know what's in your heart?
I don't think so.
No, shaitan does not know what's in your heart. He can try to figure it out from the outside, okay? But he doesn't know what's inside your heart. That's blocked off from shaitan. Now, if you think about contemporary culture, with all the marketing that takes place, and the amount of time we look at screens, I think I probably talk to people on screens more than I do in real life, and I'm a teacher, right? It's as though in our society, everything is bombarded, okay? To the point that even you get disconnected from your heart because you're getting so dazzled with your eyes. So many things. If you drive down a highway, billboard, 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 right? Or if you're just in any environment, there's noise, music, whatever taking place. And it reaches the point where you become essentially almost disconnected from what's in your heart. Okay? So this is a big challenge of our era, right? From this perspective, American culture, contemporary American culture, might be the most vicious culture probably in the history of the human race. We're saying at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that was a very vicious environment, right? Gopher was built into the people. Okay? But we're saying in terms of just the force of American culture. In my Sunday school, a kid comes into class playing Miley Cyrus on his phone. And he must have been 11 years old. Maybe, no, I don't think he was 11, he was probably 10 years old. Okay? And so the point is, this is something especially to be conscious about. Like, if we move later on, much later on in Al-Baqarah, what does it say? Eat what is halal and tayyib. Okay, that's mentioned 2 times, very close to each other. Actually, let's look at it really briefly.
Can I ask that? Sorry.
I gotta find it. It's around, I want to say 180. No, it's not even 180. That's faster. Sorry.
I said I'll never scroll then.
Guys.
So what I'll put the what the shit on. Yeah, it's times like this when a book is better than a phone.
But I don't have the knowledge to actually go find it, so. So,
It's 180.
oh, it is.
I think it might be earlier or later than 180.
Oh, okay.
172.
That's it, okay. MashaAllah. Because this is mentioned twice. Okay. Right. Okay, before 172, 168.
168 also?
Yeah. Because these are 2 different lessons, 2 different instructions. 172 is about meat, or what you can't eat, right? 168 is different. The words are almost exactly the same. Okay. So looking at 168, what does it say? Ya ayyuhan nas, all of mankind. Okay. Kulu, eat, mimma, fil ard, eat what is in the earth, halal, tayyib. Okay, so what is halal? Anything that's lawful. Tayyib is anything that's good. The fiqh definition of tayyib is anything that does not harm your mind or your body. That's the fiqh definition of tayyib. Okay. So in our language, we'd probably say wholesome. Okay. Then what's the next part? وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطَوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Okay. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. He is your clear enemy. Okay. And then the next ayah basically talks about how shaitan works. Okay. What is this ayah speaking about? This ayah is not speaking about food. This is don't take anything in. Okay. That is not halal or tayyib. Okay. So not just food. Control what your ears take in. Control what your eyes take in. And what is the point here? That anything I take in, whether it's food, whether it's things that I look at, whether it's things that I listen to, everything affects my heart. Okay. The second reference is now talking about food.
Which one is that?
Ayah 172.
I had this thought a couple of years ago when I was thinking about like media and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And how much it, like I feel like if I were, I don't watch television, but if I were to, I'd watch something really stupid like the Kardashians, and I'd probably enjoy it too, which is like, I hate that, you know what I mean? But I know my tendency. So in 2010, I stopped watching TV. I don't like
Intentionally, like you decided at this moment?
I don't have an affinity for it, and then when I
Okay.
do, I feel bad about it, so I just stopped watching,
Okay.
you know? And I realized something. I was like, you know, would you let somebody come into your house and just be like, well, what
Yeah,
do you
this
do?
is definitely.
This is the thing, like if somebody comes into your house and says, well, this is what you need to do, just let anyone, just keep your doors open. So why would you keep the doors of your heart and your mind open, you know? So when I realized that
That's
what
exactly
you look
it.
at, what you hear, what you smell, what you touch, like where you put yourself, these are all like the main doorways, you know, the secret passages to your microcosm. And either you create
Your microcosm? Oh,
like your microcosm, because
Okay. Big
your
words.
world is what you make it. So either you take it in from the outside and let it decide for you and be confused by it, and you just get swayed by whoever comes in and out of your world, or you guard those passages and you decide what it's going to be
Yeah,
beforehand.
this is very much
If you
it.
were to ask, like, I was thinking about like I was thinking about like hijab and like cover. Like if you go to one place, it's like this. If you go to another place, you go to Saudi, their environment is different. So what is reality? And if you ask a million people, the world is going to be a million things to different
Sure.
people, but it's the same world. So what differentiates it is what's in your heart and your mind, your
Absolutely.
perception, which is either deliberately decided upon, or you are like basically a prey to people just coming into your home and deciding.
Absolutely, yeah. I really, I do tell people that they should look at television or all these things that, you know, when I'm watching things, as an invasion of privacy, right? They're the same people I would not let in my house, right? Yeah. But I'm watching them on TV. And think about your psychology when you're watching on TV. You're completely relaxed, okay? You become even more vulnerable to all these things, right?
And what's wrong is like we watch these people do things that are haram, womanize, dress badly, cheat, lie, blah blah blah, and we just watch it. Like, why do I need to watch somebody else's life when they're doing haram if I myself don't want to embrace that?
Yeah.
I mean, I find it repulsive, honestly. Like, I watch this stuff and I feel like I've seen it in my own life, like I've seen it around me, and then it becomes real because you realize this is not just TV. This is teaching society how to behave.
It absolutely is.
You know?
Yeah. So the point being that your eyes and your ears are pathways to a person's heart. Good. And so that eye that comes, the two references do not, or eat what is halal and tayyib. The second one is about the food that I eat. The first one is anything that I take in. So kulu is used in many different ways in the Quran. Kulu is also used for riba. La takulu riba. Right? Don't eat riba. And so here, it's just anything in my heart. I have to be vigilant regarding.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Linguistically, right? So,
I always feel warm when I see a picked up
know.
translation. It reminds me of childhood.
it does, right? And
Of the
beaten
good
up,
old days.
torn up. It's like it's red. Yes. Right. Okay. So. Okay. ختم الله على قلوبهم. I'm gonna just. قلوبهم means the heart. وعلى سمعهم. سمعهم is the hearing, right? وعلى أبصارهم.
Plural basar.
Basar, but that is what?
Basir is to see.
Is your.
Sight.
No, I thought basar is more your. What is it?
Basar is
Seeing? I thought it's more your observations
yes,
too.
Sama is yes.
Samahim is your hearing,
Mhm.
right?
I think you're.
But basar is just your seeing. Or
But what are you suggesting it might
well, why wouldn't it be your ayn, your eyes?
Oh, so you're saying
So sight is
basar
that
being
sight
eye.
versus eyes or what?
So ayn would be eyes themselves.
Yeah.
So basar would be your sight.
And basar is your sight, your
Yeah.
observation through sight. Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
Is that the question? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة. And then for them is a huge punishment. Now here's another question. This is far and away, in terms of theology, the number one question that I receive. Look at Ayah 6. Ayah 6, they rejected. Okay. Ayah 7, Allah sealed them off. What's the relationship between the two ayahs? Okay. Is Ayah 6, they rejected, therefore, in response, Allah sealed them off? Or they rejected because Allah sealed them off? Or something else? Okay. Because now, look at this in a different way. This is the free will predestination question. Okay. Are they rejecting because Allah is making them reject? Or is Allah sealing them off because they rejected? Okay. And normally, these types of conversations are generally discouraged. The reason why I'm making this point is that this is, like I said, the number one question I receive more than all other questions about free will versus predestination. Okay. The second most common question is about suffering, which we've already talked about a little bit when we were talking about Al-Fatiha. So what do you think? Are they rejecting? And then in response, Ayah 7 happens. Allah seals them off.
Isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like giving them a chance?
Okay?
And then they reject it. Even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that they're gonna reject it,
Okay.
He gives them a chance
Okay.
to possibly accept it, which is why this is kufr. But then
Okay.
they reject it, so then He seals their hearts off from, or their hearts were already sealed, kind of.
That's, well, if they're already sealed.
you just
that's-
fell into it.
Exactly.
You
So,
stepped.
you know what I think is
Yes, ma'am.
the way that I see it is like I feel that like when we were talking about what decides who we are is like, remember we said there were like 6 things. It's like your like who you hang out with, what you have in your heart, your society. Remember all those things that we did when we were talking about nafs?
Oh, this was some time ago. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I think that there's something to be said about like what we recognize as right or wrong, and then how we act upon it, and what we like. Once we do that, we've set some sort of baseline, and every time you go beyond what Allah has said, you establish that as something that's accepted. Like first, it's like wrong to do something, then you watch other people do it, and you accept it. And then maybe that's okay, but then you go to a further step and you become involved in it because you're surrounded by it.
Okay.
And then it becomes something that's excusable and not wrong. So I feel like as you continue to go along that and you follow your nafs,
Okay.
you now you've lost the difference between right and wrong.
Okay.
So you yourself have sealed it. I feel like Allah has sealed it all. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you're sort of doing it to yourself in a way.
Okay, so you're saying you're the one who's making the choice.
I think you're making the choice,
Okay.
and the idea is that you're building those barriers between you and the truth.
Okay.
But you are doing that.
Okay.
That's something that you decide. It's a process. It's not like somebody just wakes up and says, "Oh, it's okay to do X, Y, and Z. That's haram."
Okay.
I think it's a matter of first they do this, then they hide it and they continue to behave this way or whatever it is. They hide it from themselves that it's wrong. To the point where they're lying to themselves so much that they actually believe that it's not wrong, and they don't even feel it in their hearts.
Okay, but I'm the one who's making the choice.
I think that we're making a choice. Whether or not Allah decides that beforehand, I don't think it's any of our business. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think that we should be more concerned with what is our part in doing that.
Okay.
That's what I
Does
think.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know beforehand that
If he knows all,
yeah,
he's Alim, he knows everything.
yeah, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that, okay, he knows if someone's going to be a kafir or a believer, but he gives them the chance to, like, accept or reject.
But if he already knows, then,
But he's giving you a chance to be good.
yeah, but he already knows the choice you're gonna make.
Yeah,
So
so,
why is that not true? He
Okay.
knows.
But maybe
not
because
controlling
it's
it.
not like-
It's
Okay,
if
but
you have
this
a
is the
con-
question.
He knows all the different outcomes of
Okay.
every little decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a choose your own.
So you're saying, yeah,
Guys
yeah,
are
choose
too
your own
young.
adventure. Okay, so you're saying,
Nobody else
so you're
knows.
saying
I heard
he
of peace on NPR, I know.
Okay.
those old people, okay.
The old people.
So you're saying then that he does not control everything, right? If I say I'm making the choice, okay, which is what you're saying, which is what you're saying, which is what you're saying. Oh, you keep riffing over yourself. Okay, fine, you're not saying that. Okay? But then I'm saying that Allah Ta'ala does not control everything.
It depends
But I
on your
think-
definition of control.
Does
Like
he
puppets.
not control everything, like puppets?
I think that
He
probably.
knows everything. He knows
Okay.
all possible outcomes of
Okay.
every. Like if I pick up my pen like this, that's like
Okay.
a whole different.
Okay, so I pick up my pen like this.
That's it. Everything's different.
Does
What
if
Allah
it's
Ta'ala,
No, I'm just saying.
Allah Ta'ala knows I'm going to do this?
Yeah.
But if he, so you're saying, well, maybe he doesn't control everything.
You're trying to.
Like, but the
I mean,
definition like, of
The
kafara
definition
is
of
like,
control doesn't mean like, okay, I didn't pick this pen
Okay.
up because some like force, it was my own will.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was already known that that was the path I was going to choose.
Okay, so everyone agrees that Allah Ta'ala knows everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But the question is, does he control everything too?
So
Yes.
let's, I don't understand, like, okay,
He is in control of everything,
Okay.
but he has given
some free will.
opportunity and
Okay.
choices to his Khalifa
Okay.
to do, after giving the guidance, to
Okay.
do whatever
Okay.
you want to do. In one surah, I don't remember the ayah, we have created you and we have given you the guidance
Okay.
and we let you free, either you obey or you disobey.
Okay.
What is that surah? It is-
got it.
मेरे को याद नहीं है, आयत याद नहीं है. It is there.
Okay.
So the Khalifa has given the opportunity,
Okay.
choices, whether you follow or not. Allah knows who is going. Allah also knows who is Jahannami and who is Jannat.
Okay.
He knows it. But it is given the choice to the humans
Okay.
to prove yourself what you deserve.
Okay.
That's-
Okay.
So,
But that is effectively saying that there are some things Allah Ta'ala doesn't control.
is it
He
the
can
state of your
control,
own heart?
he can control, everything is in his control. He has given opportunity to someone. Like, I can not, I can make my grandchild not to do something, but I will give him a chance.
Sure.
Try yourself.
Sure.
So that is the situation I
Okay.
feel like.
Okay.
Allah is in control of everything.
Okay.
Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. If we
Okay.
don't follow that, then we are something else.
Okay.
Even after having the control, there is Allah's mercy to let us select
Okay.
whatever is good, whatever is bad.
Okay.
If you want to select good way or bad way.
Okay. Okay.
So I have a
Yes.
complete thought that I wanted to.
Okay.
Okay.
Complete
Yes,
thought,
complete
wow.
thought. It's not like a partial thought. Complete thought. So like my thought is like, okay, so people are created in different capacities of good and bad, you know,
Okay.
and that's why their judgment is different. So
Okay.
maybe for one person, something is considered like that would be judged more harsh, and for somebody else, it would be something else, you know. So that person has their own judgment, their own set of whatever, and Allah
Okay.
subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you're susceptible to,
Okay.
and they know what you're He knows what you're capable of in
Okay.
your good actions, you know.
Okay.
So from that perspective, you're set up, you're predestined to say you have like genetically a predisposition to alcoholism, whatever
Okay.
it is. Do you see
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And maybe somebody is very intelligent
Okay.
and so and has a very good heart, so they
Okay.
have a predestination to finding the truth, you know.
Okay.
So along the way, so everyone's judgment's different, and the idea is that based on the choices that you make throughout your life, you carve the path of actually tending towards the path of least resistance,
Okay.
towards your destination, whether it be
Okay.
good or bad,
Okay.
or you change your path either from good or bad.
Okay.
And there's that little bit of leeway throughout your life with every decision that you make that determines what your outcome is. But
Okay.
but the reality is the type of person that you are, you may be somebody who is a believer in your heart, and
Okay.
that's who your real self is. Maybe you're somebody who in your heart, you're just somebody who doubts, who is so insecure with even, accepting Allah, whatever it is, So you have that predestined, like if you were to do exactly what your nature is, then you would end up in heaven. If you were to do exactly what your nature is, you would end up in hell.
Okay.
But your life is full of choices where you
Okay.
can, you can pick one or the other throughout your life.
Okay, so the element you're adding to the conversation is that Allah Ta'ala has given each person, a direction, a tendency
Right.
to go one way or the other.
So for somebody who is given everything right in their life, they're given a perfect life, perfect parents, whatever, their fault maybe they become cocky and look down on people.
Okay.
Maybe that's their way of showing a kufr, or like what they're doing is they're bringing their ego above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not being, that may be their kufr. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, and realizing that at the end of the day, Allah gave this to you. This is not
Okay.
something of your own belonging. And for
Okay.
somebody else who was brought up in like a very unnurturing environment,
Mm-hmm.
they realize that rather than being angry and acting out and feeling like they're atheists, they say there has to be something better than this,
Okay.
And so maybe that's the way that they escape it versus
Okay.
fall into it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, so far, yeah.
That ayah I recall now.
Yeah.
Inna khalaqnal insana min nutfatin amshajin nabtalihi faja'alnahu sami'an basira. Inna hadaynahu sabila imma shakiran wa imma kafura. That's what
Okay.
I'm saying.
Okay.
That's
So-
that
Okay.
yeah.
So
So
that,
there, Allah has created us, given us routes, guided with the prophets,
Mhm.
guided with the senses, guided with the abilities He gave us. Then He let him free.
okay.
فَجَعَلْنَاهُ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا
So he has second
إِنَّا
hearing.
هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ.
Okay. And so
Then
we
He
guided
says,
him to straight path.
إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا
Okay,
كَفُورًا.
So take one path, the other.
Either
That's
will
what
be,
it is. That's what the
grateful
complete thing is.
or kafir. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Okay, so I think
I changed my answer.
You've changed your answer to what? So it's no longer to
It's all
choose.
Allah's control.
You're saying Allah Ta'ala controls
Yeah.
everything.
I think there's
Okay.
a difference
For a while.
Okay.
because
Okay.
we're different from animals. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us like the best of creation, and I don't think it's not like, I think control is a bad word. I think that I think that's not the best word to use. Like everything's in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power. But I think He gave, that's the miracle of creation of us as insan,
Okay.
that we are better than animals, and that we have that little bit of choice
Okay.
that's different.
So
But-
this is akin to what Uncle's saying. Yeah.
yeah, and I totally agree, because it's we are created differently from animals, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just made, and angels who Allah, they're just supposed to worship all the time. So I think that it's definitely the Allah, they rejected and Allah sealed their hearts, because
So what does that mean?
They-
rejected then?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the definition of kafara is there's something self-evident here.
Okay.
There's something self-evident in faith,
Okay.
and to actively cover up is
Mhm.
what is what the sin of kufr is.
Okay.
So I think that's what it is, because I mean we're different from animals, we're different from angels. We are a different creation, and I think like I wouldn't say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has less control or is not in control, but he gave us something special, and
Okay.
that is what we are thankful for.
Okay.
Then, I'm saying that, the pens have been lifted and the ink has dried.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, Allah
okay,
subhanahu wa
so
ta'ala
everything's
knows
already written.
everything.
But He knows, that's fine. He can
I'm
know
saying,
everything.
that it was written, when the beginning of time, that I'm going to lift this pen now, and this
Okay.
is going to happen, right?
So
So
it's
is
saying
it,
it is pre-written.
yeah, everything's written,
That's
All
fine.
combinations are written.
yeah.
That's what they mean by it's written.
I think that's.
But
All
even
of
though-
those,
even-
I don't know
I
Arabic
think-
words,
wait,
but,
but
I was saying,
Oh look, I'm off was
I thought that's every
Everything.
combination of everything.
every combination of
Yeah.
everything's
Like
all
my life
pre-written.
without the pen, we keep talking about the pen being lifted, like it's special, but
Yeah.
every,
every possible
the
timeline
choose
happens.
your own adventures that you guys don't know
She's
about.
really into the
This whole side of the room was like, what?
What are we talking about?
We like
It's
laughed.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
like
a good
every combination of every, the world with a speck of dust going this way or that way, everything has been written on those.
But it's like that, there's different
On the
timelines.
bottom line of this conversation, I
Ji.
think we should end here. because we cannot comprehend this
Exactly, yeah, that's at the end
destination,
of it, yeah.
and we have been given very little knowledge of
Sure.
it. We should not discuss very deep into it,
Sure,
but
sure.
just what Prophet ﷺ said,
Mm-hmm.
just obey what you have been told by
Okay.
your Allah and me,
Okay.
that means Muhammad ﷺ.
Okay.
We should follow, then we are on a straight track,
Okay.
and inshallah, we will be minal muttaqin, minal muflihun.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And destination is such a subject, if you continue, you will not end up
Destroy your mind.
to-
It will.
Destroy your mind.
It drive you crazy. It drives people crazy.
But
Exactly.
you
It
will
does. Yeah.
create some new questions altogether.
Sure.
There is no way to end of it. I
But you
think
know-
that's the thing.
I wanted to just add something, like, I think that, you know, when we talk about having blind faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not just to believe that He exists, but it's also to know that despite what seems like it could be apparent injustice, to be predetermined to go to hell, and somebody else to be predetermined to go to heaven, you have to have blind faith that there is justice and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Rather
Okay.
than trying to figure it out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I have a question. So, is it kind of like, are there different timelines? Like, yes or no? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I need an answer from what you see.
You watch
from
Fringe
the-
too much,
from the
don't
books
you?
of the Destiny. But no, I'm saying like, isn't it just like, this is what I was thinking now. I guess like that like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written everything down, and that do we just like feel like we are free will?
Okay.
There's no,
You're
it's-
getting
I mean,
closer. You're getting warmer.
I don't know.
Omer's like,
Okay.
Can't tell the difference, but doesn't matter.
Because like
It
if I
doesn't
don't do
matter, that's why I
anything for
think,
my whole life,
why
I
argue
just sit
about
here
this,
like
you know?
nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, the reason why we're having this discussion, I could have easily not mentioned any of this, but this is the number one most commonly asked question.
no, it's
overall.
understandable
Yeah.
why.
Okay, so let's take it piece by piece.
There's an answer to this?
sorry?
There's an answer to this?
Well, I don't know if you're going to understand the answer, but there,
I
there,
may not.
there are answers, inshallah. Okay, so free will means what? I'm the one who's making my choice. Okay, predestination, we're saying Allah Ta'ala has already made the choice. Okay, it's already pre-written. Okay. These two ayahs, just looking at them in the language, does not quite make it clear. Okay.
Okay, I have a question. I feel like predestined, like the idea that Allah made that choice, I don't think that's like,
But isn't that what? Then give me a different term.
no, but no, I'm just saying like, I think predestined means like pre-written, but like you're still making the choice, you know? So it's, no, like you're
You're fulfilling the choice that has been written that you would make.
that, yeah, like
No.
you know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, astaghfirullah, wanna make this comparison, but like,
Okay, but you will.
astaghfirullah,
Okay.
I'm going to,
Yeah.
but like, no, astaghfirullah, like I don't mean
So
it like
the
this,
author
but
of
I'm
the
just
book-
saying about like, if you, like, okay, like how we think of, how we think of like, you know, these people who tell the future, they have no, you know, they have no power of your,
Okay.
you know, but that we know, like, if that thing was supposedly true, whatever, that's, like, I mean, you're still making those choices. Like,
Okay.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the ability
Okay.
to make those choices, but you're still making the choices.
Okay, and you're going to make every step of every one of those choices.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Does that mean that there's a possibility that you won't? I think that is
I
a
don't-
possibility.
So what we're saying here is, one scenario is that I'm making my choices. The other scenario is that my choices have been made for me. Okay? And I'm just going to go through the motions, and as far as I can tell, I think I'm making my choices. These are the two options. They rejected, Allah sealed them off. Okay?
They rejected.
Okay, so two ways to address this. One, what do we say was one of the lessons of Alif Lam Mim?
You just accepted.
Start with the concrete.
Oh, start with the concrete.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so concretely, do you know you have free will?
yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's deciding to do that.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
That's why I said it so quick. So
Yeah.
because the impulse is to just like,
Yeah.
well, do we? Can I
Because-
move my hand?
Well, after
If
this
we-
right?
conversation,
No, but I'm
Yeah.
saying,
We're getting all deep about
if
it.
we start with the theoretical, then I don't know, right? Because I mentioned the student,
Right.
you know, who I asked him, "Are you sitting here?" He says, "I don't." You know, he couldn't even confirm
Oh my
that.
gosh,
Right?
that's so funny.
Yeah, and so the point is that, okay, starting with the concrete, I definitely know I have free will. Okay, if that's all I know, then that's sufficient. Okay, because what? I know I have free will. So what is the day of judgment? Day of judgment is going to be a day of justice. Okay, right? I I'm going to get whatever I earn. Or Allah Ta'ala will give me better. Okay? And I'm going to see everyone else's judgment, and everyone's going to get justice. Okay? We're going to get what we earn. Okay? If this is all I know, that's all I know. That's all I need to know. I can get through my whole life successfully as a Muslim if this is all I know. That I have free will, I'm making my choices. Okay? But predestination is, we are saying that from this perspective, that Allah Ta'ala controls everything. That everything's pre-written. What is the Day of Judgment then? It's whoever He wills to give mercy to. Okay. So it becomes a day of mercy or no mercy. Okay. What does that mean? I'll give you a simple example. Let's say hypothetically you have two people who all their deeds are exactly the same. Okay. Let's say they're twins, and every time one gives a donation, the other one gives a donation, and they pray at the same time. Everything's the same. Okay.
What about the state of their heart?
Okay. So as far as we know, the state of the heart is the same too.
Okay.
This person gives $5 to someone. This person gives $5 to someone. Okay. Same exact action, same intention, but this person gives $5, and 10 people get inspired to give $5. Okay.
Mama, can you go talk to Emily?
Okay, I will.
Okay. So this person gives $5, okay, and 10 people get inspired to also give $5 each. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, does this person get rewarded for those people?
Yeah.
Yeah. This person gives $5, but no one gets inspired. Okay. So this person's only getting rewarded for what that person did. Who controlled the inspiration? Allah Ta'ala controlled it. Right? I'm the one who did the action. So me and Omer both do an action. But because of Omer's action, Allah Ta'ala made 10 other people also be inspired. My action, same thing, same intention, same everything. Okay? Same heart. But Allah Ta'ala did not. Let's say Allah Ta'ala made only 4 people be inspired. Okay? The part I controlled was my action. The result, Allah Ta'ala controlled. So on the Day of Judgment, Omer has more hasanat waiting for him. Because Allah willed for his action to have all these people.
But
Yeah.
can you make a complete statement about that? Because if you say exactly the same,
Yeah.
then you're talking about some sort of favoritism that would be not fair. But Allah is
Why would that be
completely
not
just.
fair?
But Allah is completely just.
Okay.
So there's something hidden that you cannot say because
Okay.
you don't know.
Okay. Justice here does not mean...
But it's also mercy. But the idea is to have mercy is someone doesn't deserve something but they get it. But if two
Okay.
people are exactly the same, all things being equal,
Yeah.
then the mercy upon them logically should be the same. So there's something that you're not seeing.
No, okay.
Maybe someone's
So-
praying for one of those other people.
So what is
It's like an
justice?
outside force.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's like maybe like, if they're twins, the mom is like praying for one of them.
Well, let's say,
Doesn't
let's say,
affect their
let's say
life.
everything, let's say,
That's a
wait.
complicated
This comes down to what do we mean by justice? Justice means Allah Ta'ala will not give you less than what you have earned.
At least as much as you earn.
He will give you at least what you earned, just like you're saying, right?
Right.
So you
But
have to-
He's also going to give mercy to whomever He wills. That's
But-
not unjust.
That's not unjust, but the idea is that I guess what I'm trying to say is that to say that somebody but why does someone deserve mercy, right?
We're not saying deserve. Mercy is whoever Allah
But
wills
who
to
do you
give
have
mercy.
mercy upon?
Mercy is by
That's the thing.
definition
Like,
undeserved.
Okay, say you're teaching your whole class, right? You're like, this half the room you have to turn in your paper on
Yeah.
Friday. This half the room you can turn it in like whenever you guys want.
Okay.
Is that fair?
No, but
I would
both
say, but that's
people
not what's
got
here.
their-
But okay, but what if like you just like the color of someone's shirt, so you treat them nicer?
But okay,
But that's not
but
just.
Allah Ta'ala,
But we're not talking about justice. We're talking
it
about
would be
mercy.
unjust. It would be unjust if Allah Ta'ala is giving me less than what I have earned, but He's giving everyone else what they have earned. We're saying it's not unjust if He gives everybody what they have earned, but some people He's going to give them more.
But the thing is, if you get more without having to serve the mercy, because there are certain
That's
things
what-
that elicit mercy, right?
But it's still Allah's will to give mercy to whomever He wills, right? Here's the key. The key is that I'm not going to be withheld of anything that I earn. Everything that I earn on the Day of Judgment I'm going to get. Every person who was alive and
See,
who has
but I
ever
really
lived.
feel like every action has a reaction. So I feel like there's something.
I see everything that you're saying, and the point you're making is that the mercy also has to be earned, and I'm saying no.
But like,
Yeah.
Do you understand my example though? Like,
Yeah. Okay. So it would
but, like,
here
you
here'd
said-
be a closer example.
like say you gave sufficient
Everyone
time
get
for the
$5.
whole class.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you gave everyone 2 weeks, right? This side, but then like I don't know. You're
It's-
like, oh, this
that's-
side.
Your example is wrong. It's like if
Yeah.
everybody's exam is due on Friday and someone turned it in, like say 3 people turned it in
Yeah.
on Monday, like say you accept 2 of them and you don't accept 1 of them because you know other factors.
I don't even think
would
that's a
say.
good one. I think the
Yeah.
idea is
I don't think we
I don't
can
think
go
that's a
this
good
way.
one. The idea is
Let's just go back to the
everyone
first hypo.
everyone got an
The
A,
$5.
so everyone got an A. So you gave
Okay.
everyone an A, but you gave extra credit to some people even though they didn't do extra credit. That
Okay.
would be the example. That's because
Or you gave them the
Decided-
opportunity to do extra credit.
Okay.
And
no,
they did
Gee.
we're not
do.
even talking about that. We're talking about mercy
Point-
above and
one
beyond
point is
anything
coming
they're
to my
actually.
The fact that they
Gee.
offered them.
Okay. Let's let Uncle.
We are talking. You know, there are 2 dimensions in any act, every act.
Okay.
One is what we see,
Gee.
Exactly.
one is what is inside the heart, which only Allah knows.
That's
Fine.
what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So there's
That
some-
is the thing which makes that person deserving for whatever Allah gives.
Okay.
So Allah is just, He knows mafis sudur, He
Okay.
knows from inside what is in there.
Sure.
So that we are talking only one dimension of giving and doing good things
Okay.
and whatever. But there is something which is unseen for us
Okay.
and which we believe that Allah knows the inside. One person is giving for the love of Allah.
Okay.
100, and the percentage of that love of Allah, like Ibrahim alayhi salam, cannot match, anyone cannot match
Fine.
that.
Fine. So far so good.
So
Okay.
that is the thing which brings the more mercies.
But he's
That-
saying
okay.
even if the state of your heart is equivalent
Okay.
to somebody else exactly, then even still, without any kind of logic,
Ikhlas.
Allah gives one person more mercy than the other.
Well, Allah knows.
See,
He
that's
can do
that's a
anything.
dangerous
He
territory.
can do
What we're
anything.
saying. Yeah.
He can do anything.
Yeah.
He is in full power. But Allah has created us saying, this is my Khalifa.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you say, this is my daughter, my son, we humans mean something.
Yeah.
When Allah said, didn't I tell you? मैं बोला नहीं तुमको कि मैं जानता हूँ जो तुम नहीं जानते. When
Others don't speak
When
also Urdu.
Adam said
True
that,
Tarbiyah program now, right?
Adam said that answer. That shows the love of Allah to the humans.
Okay.
So with that love,
Okay.
Allah will not be unjust to any.
Okay.
We're not talking about justice. He's talking about the mercy.
Mercy,
beyond
you know,
justice.
in mercy is also the way you are talking.
Yeah.
Somebody is getting more, somebody is getting less. There is
So you're
a base
he's
for
saying
it.
there's no reason for it. I'm saying there is a reason.
There
for it.
cannot be need. Maybe there is no reason he can give somebody
this is the
something.
part that I'm
The
saying.
point is that the
He
reason's
can
out of
do,
our
but there
hands.
is a, there is
Okay, keep in
Yeah.
mind, I'm not being withheld anything if Allah Ta'ala gives Omar other mercies he doesn't give me. Right?
I just
Yeah.
did.
This is
But you are. You're being withheld the mercy that you could have gotten.
No, because the mercy is entirely Allah Ta'ala's jurisdiction. Yeah. Think of look the whole scenario. Okay. So you have one person who is coming from a house where everything is wholesome, everything is healthy, Islamically, morally, financially, everything. Okay?
Okay.
And that person is being, properly nurtured into Islam. Okay? In the best possible way. Okay? You have another person who is not given anything. Okay? Their situations are not the same, right? So we're saying in a dunya perspective, Allah Ta'ala gives mercy to whomever He wills, right? So far so good?
Right.
Yes?
Sure, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right, okay. Okay. Then this person, let's say this person continues. Let's say there's 4 kids in the family. All of them continue an upright life. Okay? And they all do wonderful Islamic things. Okay? And they're all super, super great Muslims. Okay? Because that's what they were given. This family, you have 2 who became good Muslims, 2 who didn't. Okay? Still, Allah Ta'ala is giving mercy to whomever He wills in dunya. And we're saying in akhirah then, these 4 people who had a better situation in dunya are in akhirah are also going to be in a higher status. Versus these 4, they're going to be rewarded fairly, right? And maybe in some cases the 2 that became good Muslims might even get more because they came from a struggle. Okay? But still, they came from 2 different starting points, and they might even have an advantage. The first family might even have an advantage overall on the Day of Judgment because of what Allah Ta'ala gave them in dunya. Is that fair?
I think that in my mind, and I don't know, but I think that there may be more mercy on somebody who was not given everything,
Okay.
and they still, every little thing that they do that was easy for the person in situation one
Yeah.
is a huge struggle.
Yeah, I'm saying that would be justice, but not the mercy is
but
different.
the justice is that this person reached level 10, this person reached level 4. But
Yeah.
the mercy that Allah may have on this person who was like, despite the path of least resistance,
Sure.
which is to not follow Islam, they really took it upon themselves to look for the truth
Sure.
and to find themselves.
Sure.
So even though it's just for them to be at 4,
Yeah.
maybe their mercy brings them up to level 10.
Or not,
Or not.
right?
But see,
And
that's
it
the
may
thing, I
be-
just don't think that there's illogical stuff happening here. I think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just, and
Yeah.
I think that above his justice, even his mercy is just.
And what I'm saying is that his mercy is to whomever he wills, right? That you have two people.
But are you
who
saying that there's favoritism then?
Isn't there favoritism? Isn't the prophet, peace be upon him, chosen? Okay. Aren't the prophets all chosen?
Yes.
The
Yeah, understood.
the justice is that I will get whatever I earn, right?
But the thing is that with that responsibility came a lot of struggle. It's not like he
Potentially.
gave. Yeah, so I think
Okay,
I think that
so-
even in his mercy there's justice. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what I
but
believe in my heart.
so this is a fundamental difference between what is Sunni theology versus what we call Mu'tazila theology.
Yeah.
Mu'tazila theology is no, that everyone is going to get justice. You're going to get what you earn, okay? But then where they get stuck is then they're saying that a baby can't go to paradise then because the baby hasn't earned anything.
Yeah, I don't believe
Okay.
that.
But Sunni theology says the starting point is Allah Ta'ala can do whatever He wills. Okay? And so in Sunni theology, everyone's getting a minimum of justice. But to whomever Allah Ta'ala wills, He's going to give mercy to also.
But isn't it also like, if I was given
This
every,
is only the first part of the conversation.
if I was given so much mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like I'm gonna be questioned about it. Like,
No, that's not what we're saying.
Well,
Okay,
like-
mercy in dunya.
but like I don't understand.
So why work for it? Why not just pray for mercy and do whatever we want?
But
then?
we are
See, I
supposed
just
to
don't
pray
think
for
that-
mercy.
I
Yes.
just don't think it makes any sense.
Why?
And I think that's because yes, Allah can do whatever He wills, but Allah is also just. So it's a duality. So it's unjust to give some people extra, even
Is
though
it?
no one earned
We're
it.
saying
is
it's
it-
unjust if He takes away. We're saying
But to give somebody more without like you didn't give me equal opportunity to have more. It's just whatever I
No,
want.
but
That's
it's,
not just.
the justice argument here is that you're not going to be withheld of anything that you've earned. Okay.
But like,
That you've
I
learned.
think there's like some actions that you just can't, like, you can't, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can weigh them. We can't weigh
That's
them,
what I
you know?
think, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's
But
like a
you're
different.
saying you're limiting His mercy. That's what you're effectively doing.
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm
no,
saying His
but,
mercy
like,
is endless.
His
But at the same
mercy's
time, like
endless.
there's probably Allah. I don't think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is illogical. Like to say that it's logical. It's favoritism.
I wouldn't
but
say
Allah
that's
is
illogical.
perfect.
I would say you're
But Allah
reading it
subhanahu
as
wa ta'ala is
favoritism.
perfect. But Allah subhanahu wa
No,
ta'ala is
but it's-
perfect.
Yeah,
I think-
you're defining perfection here. It's the perfection according to His parameters, right?
Right. So there's a reason behind it that is unknown to us.
Or Yishatan.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's like just without logic. I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a reason that we'll never understand.
then you
So
say that
therefore,
it's
it is
logical.
possible that He
To
can
say
get
it's
mercy.
logical, yeah.
Does he
So it's
what?
not fair.
Okay, so if we're going to take the clause that that the way Allah works we don't understand, then we have to theoretically say that Allah Ta'ala can give mercy to whomever He wills.
I completely agree.
That's true.
I'm
But
not
I
saying
think his way, the way he weighs the actions, is something we don't understand. But
Yeah.
there's
There's
a
a
reason
truth and
to it.
justice to
There's
it.
not. I think the way like it was described the first way. I think it sounds very like what's the word? Very
Russian roulette. Like just
yeah,
whatever
like
goes.
it
Like
seems
caprice.
very and astaghfirullah al-azim, like I think that's like a quality that we don't ascribe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Right.
but like I think biblically they ascribe that very like angry,
one?
capricious.
Oh.
Like biblically, it's a very
Just
and I don't think that's how that's not my like that's I think there's astaghfirullah. I shouldn't be talking
Okay.
right now.
okay,
But, no, because of the adhan, like.
okay.
But yeah,
It's not live.
So
it's
Okay.
not live.
So okay, that part we're going to have to table that part of the conversation. Okay. Continuing here. From the perspective of free will, I get what I earn, right? That part you're accepting. From the perspective of predestination, we are saying Allah Ta'ala is determining who gets mercy, who doesn't. Okay? Now take it a step further. Coping. Open open up to Surah 57, Surah Al-Hadid.